We believe our homes are sanctuary. 4 walls, a roof, and a foundation. But according to a 1978 survey by the National Homeowners Association, a document later withdrawn from public access, nearly 2% of homes built between 1920 and 1950 contain undocumented voids. They aren't just mistakes. They are deliberate gaps in the floor plans. Tonight, we look at 3 cases where those gaps weren't as empty as the records claimed. Because sometimes you aren't paying rent for the whole house. Sometimes you're just a guest in someone else's secret. It started with a heavy iron padlock on a door that didn't appear on the lease. I rented a house outside of Ohio. Cheap. Too cheap. The landlord was a man named Mr. Henderson. When he handed me the keys, he pointed to the basement door. "It's structurally unsound," he said. "Keep it locked. For your own safety." After a week, the scratching started. Every night at 2 a.m. in the official 1955 building permits for this property, the basement is listed as sealed due to radon. But radon doesn't make footsteps. I checked the local archives. In 1964, the house was owned by a retired watchmaker. He disappeared from all tax records in October of that year. No death certificate, no relocation notice, just a blank line in the ledger. One night, 3 soft knocks came from inside the basement door. Then the handle turned. Slowly. It wasn't unsafe structure moving. It was intent. When we finally opened it, the basement was empty, except for the door. The inside of the heavy oak was shredded. Deep parallel gouges. Human fingernails are softer than oak, but after years of trying, they leave a mark. Henderson claimed the marks were from
raccoons trapped decades ago.
But raccoons don't change the locks from the outside every time a tenant moves out. A single silver-plated spoon found in the middle of a hallway where no one had walked. I lived alone in a single-story ranch house, or so I thought. But the physics of the house didn't add up. The ceiling in my bedroom was 8 feet high, but the roof peak was 12. There was a 4-foot gap of nothing above my head. It wasn't animals. Animals don't whisper. Every night, exactly above my pillow, I heard a rhythmic, low vocalization, a vibration more than a sound. When I climbed the attic ladder, I found the Erasure. The insulation had been moved to create a nest. But not just a nest, a station. There were newspapers from 1992 perfectly preserved. The police found a small backpack. Inside was a diary. The last entry was dated yesterday. It said, "He's looking at the ceiling again. He's getting close. They told me it was a squatter." But the dust on the attic hatch was undisturbed for months. Whoever was up there, they didn't use the door. My father found the first one behind a mahogany panel in 2004. a single black and white photo of the house dated 1942. But it wasn't taken from the street. It was taken from inside the drywall. We were renovating our 1940s colonial home. When the panels came off, we found a door. Not a full-size door, but a narrow vertical slit. A breathing space for the house. Or so the contractor said. Inside was a room only 18 inches wide. It ran the entire length of the hallway, and the walls were covered. Dozens of photographs. Our house through the decades. Not just the rooms, but the people. According to the 1944 building permit, the hallway was supposed to be 5 feet wide, but it was only 3.5. The missing 1.5 feet were erased from the official blueprints during a 1951 revision. Someone paid to have that space removed from history. Among the old photos of strangers, we found one from last Tuesday. It was my family sitting in the backyard. The angle was from a knothole in the exterior siding. Someone had spent 60 years watching families grow, eat, and sleep from a space that technically didn't exist. My dad tried to say it was a hidden security passage built during the Cold War. But security cameras don't breathe, and they don't take photos from inside the hallway looking back at the door you just opened. The police never found the observer. They found a thin mattress and a pair of spectacles from the late 90s. But the room was cold. However, there's one photo we didn't show the police. It was taken at 3 a.m., 2 nights before we found the room. It shows our hallway completely dark. But at the very end, standing right by the hidden panel, is a shadow. A shadow that is too tall to be my father and too solid to be a trick of the light. If someone was standing there, taking a picture of the door, who was standing inside the wall taking a picture of them? Look closely at the shadow in the corner of that final photo on your screen. Does it look like a person to you or something else? Let me know your theories in the comments. And tonight, check the measurements of your hallway.